So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our August 2021 Education Grand Round session that was originally intended to be our May 2020 Education Grand Round session. Dr. Cox really wanted to join us in person so that we could make the most of her visit. However, the world had other plans for us, and we ultimately decided that a virtual visit was much preferred to no visit at all. Dr. Sue Cox is the Executive Vice Dean of Academics and the Chair of the Department of Medical Education at the University of Texas at Austin Dell Medical School. Her expanding interest in education has led to significant scholarly activities in pursuit of excellence in education. Her involvement with the Association of Professors in Gynecology and Obstetrics, so the APGO, and her participation in its undergraduate medical education committee have resulted in a number of peer-reviewed journal articles and other media, primarily in areas such as establishing educational objectives, recruitment, clerkship director development, faculty development, and the list really goes on. Dr. Cox earned her medical degree from Baylor College of Medicine and completed her residency training in OBGYN and fellowship in maternal and fetal medicine at the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center. She's past president of APGO and a past member of the Council of Resident Education in Obstetrics and Gynecology. In 2006, she was elected to the UT System Academy of Health Science Education and is also a former president of the Academy. She received the UT System Board of Regents Outstanding Teacher Award in 2012 and the Lifetime Achievement Award from APGO in 2014. APGO also happens to be where she met and became longstanding friends with two of our own local outstanding leaders, Dr. Weiss and Dean Lehrman, both of whom highly respect and recommended Dr. Cox to be our presenter for today's topic. So in an effort to better approximate the in-person experience, Sue has chosen a unique presentation format. While she's here live in Zoom with us all, she did pre-record segments of her talk so that she could more effectively monitor the chat and answer questions as needed. So listen, if you have questions or comments, please don't hesitate to post them in the chat. Also, keep an eye on your own chat in case she chooses to throw out any questions for you all. I think you will find beauty in the simplicity of Sue's presentation. We've already heard and participated in it twice. I encourage you to not only explicitly use the frameworks that she presents to enhance your own time management, but also to guide your learners if you start to identify that they're struggling with the balance. I know that's a struggle sometimes. I've talked a lot already, so now it's time just to go ahead and turn it over to you, Sue. Take it away.
Well, thank you, Sherry, for the very kind introduction. And before I get started, I really want to thank Sherry and her team, in particular, Sandy, who worked with me on this presentation to make sure that it goes very smoothly today. So learning how to juggle your heavy workload is critical to any professional and especially important in careers in healthcare. Honing effective time management skills is crucial and something anyone can improve with enough practice. And I do mean practice. If you're an administrator, an analyst, a clinical manager, a doctor, or a student, emphasizing the importance of time management to these individuals is key. Goal setting with your learners is crucial, for this is a skill that can make or break their career. So with that, I'll take the next slide. Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here? That depends a good deal on where you want to go, said Alice. I don't much care where. Well, then it doesn't really matter which way you go. So the first poll question, what is your primary resource to manage your time? And if you'll respond to the poll with your one resource, all right, about 40% use the mobile device calendar, almost 60% create to-do lists. I am a big to-do list person. I love to-do lists because I love to get to check off things when I complete them. And I've been known to add things to my to-do list that I've completed just so I can put a check mark by it. So the next slide is the second poll. What strategies are you currently using to manage your time? 40% don't use anything. 4% use reflection, 54% say you block a half day or create blocks of time, and about 4% partner with a more disciplined person. So we're getting ready to run the first video. Next slide. This video lasts about 7 minutes, and then we're going to put you into a breakout room and let you do some work together.
And don't be afraid of that breakout room. It's fabulous, quick and easy.
After this session, participants will be able to define and set goals in order to improve time management, identify people and projects that delay productivity, identify specific skills and tools to save time, and recognize ways to overcome stress and procrastination. Time management skills take time to develop and will look differently for each person. Finding what works best for you and your busy schedule is key to managing your time. Time management principles include setting goals, setting priorities, planning and organizing, and minimizing time wasters. The most fundamental premise of effective time management is differentiating what is important and what is urgent. Note that the most important tasks are not the most urgent tasks and vice versa. Planning is always important no matter what you do. Take a few minutes in the morning to plan your activities for the day. For a hectic schedule, minimize distractions as much as possible. What is a goal? Wikipedia defines a goal as an idea of the future or desired result that a person or a group of people envision, plan, and commit to achieve and execute. The object of a person's ambition or effort, an aim or desired result, includes outcome-oriented goals, which are results or what you want to achieve, process goals, which are behaviors or strategies that help you perform well, and performance goals, which are standards. A task is not a goal. A task is something that you do. A project is an initiative. To complete your project, you have to do various tasks. A goal is what you want to achieve, and you usually have to complete a combination of various projects or tasks in order to obtain your goal. There are 3 goal categories: short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. Long-term goals are the big, hairy, audacious goals. They help motivate you, they help keep you focused on the big picture, and they serve as your North Star. Short-term goals I define as 1 week to 1 month. These are the things that you want to accomplish. Intermediate goals are 6 months to 1 year, and I think long-term goals are 3 to 5 years. There are other definitions for short-term and long-term, including short-term being less than 3 years and long-term being greater than 10, but these are the framework and the time frames that I choose to use. There is a 5-step process to goal setting. First, you must define what you want, what, why, when, and maybe how. Second is to find congruence with your values, beliefs, lifestyles, priorities, and self-ideal. The third is to do an ecology check. Who and how will this affect? What will that effect be? Will it be a positive effect or a negative effect? Develop a blueprint and draw up a plan of action. A goal without a plan is just a wish. Who coined the SMART acronym? Why don't you type your answer in the chat? I'll give you about 30 seconds to think of who did this and type away. If you typed in Peter Drucker, you would be correct. To make sure your goals are clear and reachable, each one should be specific, it should be measurable, it should be achievable, it should be relevant and realistic, and it should be time-bound. How do you achieve your SMART goals? You have to start small. Instead of tackling your most urgent or loftiest goal, like making a fortune, Pick something small to start with. Write it down. According to a study conducted at the Dominican University in California, those who write down their goals are 42% more likely to achieve them. Check in regularly. How long will it take you to reach your SMART goal? How do you know if you're falling off track? How do you self-correct? And then don't let fear hold you back. Finding the source of your hesitation in achieving your goals is absolutely critical, since overcoming your fear is pivotal to goal mastery. And then finally, celebrate every win. When you celebrate a win, even the small ones, your brain gets a dose of dopamine and you get re-energized. If you're working on professional SMART goals, celebrate your small wins with your teams as well as your friends. There are 5 golden rules for setting great New Year career goals. One is to set a goal that motivates you. Second is to set a SMART goal. The third is to set your goals in writing. The fourth is to create an action plan. And the fifth is to stick with it. We're going to assign you to a breakout room now. What I'd like you to do in the breakout room is to talk about why is setting goals important. And as well, I would love for you to write one short-term goal, something that you want to achieve in the next 6 months. So off to the breakout rooms for 5 minutes. We'll come back and we'll have a 2 to 3 minute debrief. All right, who would like to share why we set goals? One individual, one brave individual. Unmute your mic and chit chat with us. Chad, you look like you're getting ready to unmute.
Or he's just pointing at us.
Is there another Chad out there? Or
No, you're it.
How did I elected somebody else from my group, but I guess
All right, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead, Matt. Matt's representing our group.
Okay.
Yeah, Matt Roby. So we were saying why it's important is because as you mentioned earlier, as whoever was giving the lecture, I can't actually tell. But as someone mentioned earlier, that if you don't set a goal, then it's just a dream.
Okay, good. One other person want to share.
This is Mayada, Isa. So I think setting a goal for me always works because I will have a plan and a time frame for it. So then I can prioritize and when do I want to achieve that goal. So it just helps me to create a plan. That's how it goes for me.
So when I'm here, oh, go ahead, Sherry.
I was saying that I also think it helps me to really align my tasks fairly a lot better. If I know that they're rolling up into a goal, I feel more successful as I'm working on them, checking them off.
Another good point. I think what I'm hearing is the goals really help us get focused and stay focused, if I was to summarize. All right, we're going to roll the second video. And we're going to be talking more about prioritizing and then time wasters. So let's roll the video. It's about 10 minutes. Now that we've reviewed why it's important to set goals and we've set a short-term goal for ourselves, let's talk about planning. Ben Franklin said, by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. So in planning for our goal, we need to put time in for preparation. After the preparation comes prioritization. This first tip is the gold standard of time management. Identify the top 2 or 3 tasks you must complete at the start of each day and go from there. Once you complete those tasks, anything else that you do is icing on the cake. Confucius said, when it's obvious that the goals cannot be reached, don't adjust the goal, adjust your action steps. What are the different approaches to time management? Well, we'll review 2 today. We'll review the approach of David Allen in Getting Things Done and Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Time management is the process of organizing and planning how to divide your time between specific activities. Good time management enables you to work smarter, not harder, and you get more done in less time, even when your time is tight and the pressures are very high. Failing to manage your time damages your effectiveness and causes undue stress. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey is a wonderful framework and a wonderful way to help with time management. The first 3 habits, being proactive, beginning with the end in mind, and putting first thing first, deal with you, because it really does all start with you. The first 3 habits move you from dependence of the world to independence of making your own world. Habits 4, 5, and 6, think win-win, seek first to understand, and synergize, are about people and relationships. They will move you from independence to interdependence, such as learning to cooperate to achieve more than you could have by yourself. The last habit, number 7, focuses on continuous growth and improvement. I'm sure everyone here is familiar with the Stephen Covey time matrix, where you have 4 quadrants representing importance and urgency. Quadrant 1 is necessity. It's important and it's urgent. Quadrant 2 is not urgent, but important. Quadrant 3 is not important, but urgent, and that's deception. Quadrant 2, being important and not urgent, is our effectiveness quadrant. And then quadrant 4 is waste and excess. What do you do in each of these quadrants? For quadrant 1, you do it yourself and straight away. For quadrant 2, you set an exact deadline and do it yourself. For quadrant 3, you delegate to competent colleagues. And to quadrant 4, you don't do it. Note the orientation is different on this than the time matrix. It's flip-flop on the urgency. So if you look at the time matrix management and look at what's in each of these quadrants, you see that the important and urgent are all emergencies, crises. They're all necessities because they come at you fast and furious. They're last minute preparations. The important but not urgent is the effective zone. It is where we have the time to prepare and plan. We can clarify our values. It's relationship building and it's recreation and relaxation. The not important but urgent are the interruptions we get. Your dean texts you, can you chat right now? The president calls. Somebody stops in your office as a problem or a pressing matter. And then what I would call the time wasters are the busy work, the trivial activities, some calls and emails, they're escapes. So you can see that it's easy to overlook the distinction between what's important and what's urgent. These 2 words often seem interchangeable, but they're not. There's a big difference, and the difference forms the crux of the time management matrix. The top 2 quadrants are what we should be focusing on. They're important, but we also should be trying to minimize quadrant 1, important and urgent, as much as possible. This quadrant deals with unforeseen issues, unexpected yet pressing problems But if we spend enough time in quadrant 2, we should minimize the amount of urgent tasks that we have to deal with in quadrant 1. Quadrant 2 is all about proper planning, about putting the necessary time in before things become urgent. This is the quadrant we should be prioritizing, since doing well here will help us be more effective in our work and minimize our bad work stress. Time management goals. List the things that you want to accomplish, break down goals into achievable tasks, prioritize your goals and tasks, and rank list these according to their respective priority or deadline, and then schedule tasks. I mean schedule tasks. Block your calendar to do something. If you can't find time in the work week and you're constantly moving things that are priority into the weekend, it becomes a very long work week. Make choices and learn to say no. Saying yes judiciously will make it easier to say no. There are many times when this isn't feasible. It's much more important to be aware of your workload and how much you can handle. This could include everything from taking on new patients to new jobs in the hospital and the health professions to agreeing to head a work group. If you know you have multiple deadlines coming up, don't agree to an additional task or project. Know the limit of your flexibility and react accordingly. This is David Allen's Getting Things Done. Write down items that need your attention. Decide which pieces you have to do and what pieces you can delegate. What pieces are actionable. Break your big projects into smaller steps, set deadlines, and then execute. Email is one of our biggest distractors. It's one of the greatest things that's ever been invented in that we can communicate with people across the country easily. We're not playing telephone tag, but it becomes a distraction. So how do you manage your email? This is a management scheme from David Allen that I think works well for the inbox. So the email comes in, you're looking at it. Is it actionable? If it's no, either trash it, put it in a folder called Someday or Maybe, or put it in a reference folder in case it's something that you want to go reference later. If it's actionable, but it can be done in a single step, by all means complete it. If it's going to take 2 minutes or more to complete it, if it's going to take less than 2 minutes, you should just do it. If it's going to take more than 2 minutes, is it something that I have to do or is it something that I can delegate? If I have to do it, but I don't have the time right now, I'm going to put it in a waiting for folder. If it's something that I need to do and it's going to take quite a bit of time, I'm going to block my calendar. And that way I know the task will get complete. So we're going to put you back in a breakout room. And I want you to think of the top 10 time wasters that you encounter most likely on a daily basis. So we're going to take 5 minutes, come up with top 10. And when we come back, we'll review a top 10 list. All right, I think we probably have everybody back. We had a great group, a very talkative group during our session. By the way, I have to introduce to you my great nephew. This is Ben, and he's telling me to be quiet one day. So he wasn't even a year old when he did that. So, all right, if we could roll the next video, it's about 14 minutes. When we come back, it'll be time for the Q&A. So to recap, we've identified the top biggest time wasters to be smartphones and other digital devices, multitasking, chatty coworkers and noisy offices, workplace clutter and disarray, unhealthy nutrition and hydration habits, procrastination and a lack of motivation, and social networks, online distractions, excessive meetings, decision fatigue from having to make too many little decisions, and then email overload. Symptoms of poor time management include the following: poor punctuality, rushing from one task to the next, impatience, poorly defined goals, poor performance, lack of energy, perfectionism, indecisiveness, can't say no, so you say yes to everything, and then doing everything yourself. Do you have any of these symptoms? Let's review ways that we might treat some of these clinical findings. Adopt a morning routine. Eat a healthy breakfast, take a walk, prioritize your schedule. Don't get up and start reading email, and don't get up and start doing social media. You'll get entrenched and it'll become a major time waster. Don't read your email unless you're going to have time to do something with it. If you see that you have 100 or 342 emails as this lady, don't start looking at those emails unless you think you can make it through all of them. Be neat and organized. Is this what your office space looks like? How with this much clutter and this many folders marked priority and rush, can you even think about being organized and managing your time effectively? Paperwork and inbox becomes clutter, and clutter is death. It leads to thrashing. You want to keep your desk clear and focus on one thing at a time. This is from Randy Posh, the famous last lecturer. A good file system is essential. Go back to the David Allen filing system for email. Touch each piece of paper and each email once. Your inbox should not be your to-do list. Stop procrastinating. Procrastination is the thief of time. And this is from Edward Young in 1742. There are 5 types of procrastinators. The perfectionist. This procrastinator is trying to avoid being embarrassed by mistakes or judged. They spend too much time on one component of a project, failing to manage their time properly, or they avoid the project altogether, then rush to finish it at the last minute. This, of course, increases the likelihood of making mistakes. The imposter is afraid of being revealed as unqualified or inferior. This procrastinator puts off doing anything to avoid that risk. The dread-filled procrastinator, when work is boring or unpleasant, procrastinates by saying, I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. The overwhelmed one is there's just too much to do and it's hard to figure out where to even start or to begin. So we don't start anywhere. We don't begin. And then there's the lucky one. Oh, I love this type of procrastinator. Some people believe that they do their best work under pressure, so they procrastinate until their back is up against the wall. If they have a history of doing this and doing it successfully, where they were rewarded because they got an A for a last minute paper that they did, or they got a high grade on a test when they waited to study at the last minute, they've been rewarded. And then they feel like, I don't have to do anything right away because I'm going to get a good grade even if I wait till the last minute. That doesn't always work out as they planned. It is estimated that we lose 218 minutes a day in procrastination. Now, this is not just at work, but this is work and at home. And that the incidence of chronic procrastinators has gone up from 5% in 1978 to 26% in 2007. And I would bet it is upwards of 40 or 50% now. Do you realize that the time we lose in procrastination is almost 2 full months? And then what are the things that are thieves around procrastination? Those are the internet, social media, and text messaging. And doing things at the last minute is much more expensive than just before the last minute. And deadlines are really important, so establish them yourself. In the cartoon, I'm not a procrastinator. I just prefer doing all my work in a deadline-induced panic. Why do people procrastinate? Share your guilty reasons. Let's pause for a minute and add to the chat reasons people procrastinate. And then procrastinator, no, I just wait until the last second to do my work because I will be older and therefore wiser. So what are some of the reasons that you listed in the chat that you procrastinate? The tasks are too complex, and therefore you don't know where to begin or how to even get it all done. A fear of failure or success. You're indecisive. You're a perfectionist and want to make sure it's done right, or it's just boring and unpleasant. And the number one reason people procrastinate is fear of failure. So how do we prevent procrastination? If you feel overwhelmed, break everything down into a smaller task. Let some tasks go. Is it really important? 5 years from now, will somebody know I didn't do this? Is it going to change the outcome? If the answer is no, let it go. And then say no to some task. Furthermore, unpleasant task. Set yourself a motivational reward for getting those done. Develop a deadline, and then have a colleague or mentor enforce those deadlines. Other strategies are use the first 3 hours of your work day wisely, or of the work. If you have a big project you're doing, use those first 3 hours wisely to prepare. Do any unpleasant tasks first. Break things into smaller tasks, set timelines for decisions to be made. Develop a mental picture of what you think this is going to look like when it's completed. Do your work at your peak times. If you work better in the morning, block out time in the morning. If you work better in the afternoon, block out time in the afternoon. Hold yourself accountable to deadlines, and then by all means, block time on your calendar for these things. Never procrastinate. The work is never going to disappear. It's still going to be looming there. And then be cautious and aware of interruptions. When something causes us to lose sight of what we're doing, it can be defined as a distraction. An interruption is a type of distraction that is deliberately drawing our attention. Example of an interruption is when a colleague calls to discuss a problem or just to have a chit chat. Interruptions, including the cold calls, the unexpected visitors, and the co-workers stopping by your desk, were office interruptions. But now that we're working remotely, there are different kinds of interruptions. We have here the delivery doorbell ring, deliveries coming to the house, the barking dogs, the cameos from your kids when you're on a video call, and the chat of your partner in another room in a Zoom meeting. University of California Irvine study revealed that on average, office workers are interrupted every 11 minutes, and yet it takes around 25 minutes to get back on track. So if you have interruptions every 11 minutes and it takes time to get back on track, you've shot an hour. You must reduce your frequency and length of interruptions. Turn phone calls into emails, close your door, blurting saves up. I can't talk to you right now, but if you can come back in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I'll be available. And then email noise on new email isn't an email noise alert. Email is an interruption, so turn it off. Other prevention strategies: isolate yourself, block time, set boundaries. Prior to working remotely, many of us took a day and worked from home so we could concentrate and have less interruptions. That's not the luxury right now, so you need to isolate yourself and block some time. Don't let distractions such as social media become interruptions while you're working from home. Disable all notifications from your smartphone. Mute the non-urgent messaging, text messaging, and delete social media apps from your workspace. get a calendar, plan your week, plan your day, and do this before the day begins. It should be done during a quiet time or someplace quiet, and it'll only take you about 5 to 10 minutes to plan your day. So let's recap. Effective time management techniques include being intentional and keeping a to-do list. Good time management lets you work smarter, not harder, so you get more done in less time. The best time management techniques will improve the way you work and protect you against distraction and lock your concentration. Doing the to-do list may not seem like a groundbreaking technique, but is the most powerful way to become more productive. Having a set list of tasks keeps you intentional about what you're going to work on. Be prioritized, rank your task. Prioritizing your task is the second step towards better time management. It guides you through the day's activities in order of importance, ensuring that the tasks that matter most are dealt with first. Despite our best intentions, we're going to get distractions. So try and manage your distractions. Again, turn off social notifications. Given that a task, when interrupted, takes about 23 minutes to refocus, the productive costs of our daily distractions are quickly adding up. So manage your distractions. And then have a structured schedule. The structured schedule is crucial for actually delivering what you set yourself to do. It helps you protect space for your work and sets a healthy pressure to actually complete that work. And time blocking is one of the ways to do this. Mark time on your calendar to do the structured activities you need to do, and be aware of your time and tracking your time. Further putting it into action, write out your to-do list every day, separate it into A, B, and C priorities, A being important to long-term success, C being those that would be nice to do if you find the time, and don't start with C just because it's easy to do. Break your A items into smaller tasks so you can get them done. Visualize your long-term picture of success and put it in writing. Review your goals frequently. Try to do your planning at the same time every day, and review and reflect on your past accomplishments. Remember that reward is a little bit of a dopamine. Use one planner to keep track of your appointments and keep separate business and personal planner. Keeping a separate business and personal planner creates a lot of confusion. So thank you very much for your time and attention, and I'll now entertain any questions you may have. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure to be here and to get to meet several of you in the little breakout rooms over the last 2 days. I'll entertain any questions that you may have if you just unmute. Y'all are all expert time managers, I can tell.
Yeah, could you make the slides available again? So sometimes we need to make ourselves reoriented every few days so that we can actually make sure we follow through with what you've taught us today.
That's a great point. My understanding is that we're recording this, and the slides and the videos are available for your use as you see fit.
Yes, we usually ask for about a week just to be sure that we get it edited and everything, and then we will post it on the Teach website, so you can find all materials there. I was having some side conversations with folks who really have the best intentions at heart, right? So they want to be available for everybody at all times, and that can get you into a little bit of a pickle, right? If you just are, maybe some folks in your unit are trying to come in and step away from patient care when they're available to ask you a question. So I suggested maybe putting a sign on the door saying, I'm focused right now. If you don't mind, just a really nice sign, if you don't mind coming back at 12 or whatever. And then, or you could have a designated time per day where people, so they don't come away from patient care just to find that you're not available. So that they already know, okay, it's 10 to 12. I'm not gonna go bother my supervisor or ask my supervisor questions or I'll hold them until after. So I totally appreciate and value, and I know that they do too, your willingness to be available at all times to them, but I know that they will even more value your ability to be even more productive and to address some of those tasks.
Very good point, Sherry. I think a lot of us have an open door policy and people don't mind coming through that door. And even when the door is closed, if you don't have a little sign on it, I've had people fling the door open and said, could I have 2 minutes of your time? And Dr. Dean Learman was at the session last night and we were chit-chatting, and I said, one of my colleagues comes in almost every evening between 4:30 and 4:45. Can I have 2 minutes of your time? And it's always 3 minutes. And Lee reached up and I said, I've been threatening to get a timer, a little timer thing that you flip over and there's 2 minutes are up and you're out of here. And Lee got out a little little one of those things that you get at, I guess, an Office Depot or Home Depot that says, no, 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 no. So you have to draw boundaries too. We all need guardrails. Other questions or thoughts? Well, I can give you all 6 minutes of your time back if it's okay with Sherry and colleagues.
Yes, can I take one more of those minutes back? And I
Yes.
promise it'll be 1 minute or less. So another suggestion that the dean gave last night in this session, or that I reminded him that he does really, really well, is, generally speaking, we will schedule a meeting for an hour's time. And inevitably, we take up that hour whether we need it or not. So he's been really good about, if he has an hour, he schedules a meeting for 45 minutes. Then he can take a bio break afterwards. He can prepare for the next meeting, do an action item for the previous meeting, anything along those lines. And it's such a time saver. It's such a gift to have that extra 15 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your attendance and look forward to meeting you on my next visit to Roanoke, because I will be coming back. I love Roanoke. So y'all have a great day. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody. Stay well.